yes. All right, how's everybody doing? We're going to get this meeting started today. I got it. All right, today our prayer will be given by John. Willie will do our pledge, four-way test by Troy, and our song by David. If everybody will stand, please.
Precious Father, we're so grateful that we have every opportunity, every day, at any time, to come before you and plead our case, and share what's on our hearts. And Lord, today, we do the same again. Thank you for helping us, Lord. That we can do things that can change lives. We can build on that foundation that you've given to us, filled with gold, rubies, precious stones, and not wood, hay, and stubble. Lives are changed because of what we do. And we thank you and ask you to lead us, help us to do the best that we possibly can. In Christ's name.
Amen.
Join me with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in the four-way test of things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, let's sing a song this morning. Let's go to, in your song book, song 39. You probably already know this song anyway. I feel patriotic today. We're going to do the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Okay.
39, here we go. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are sore. He has loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Well done, well done. Thank you, sir. All right. So we have a couple of visitors here today. I see Scott's brought Kendall back with him again. Is she driving you around? She's like chauffeur. I like it. I like that. Tammy has brought Shelly with her today. Shelly told me earlier, she's filling in for Keith because he's on vacation. So she's filling in his place here, which is good.
You were supposed to be at the board meeting.
All right, and I'll save our last visitor for shortly. Willie, you want to see if anybody's happy today?
Hey, let's do that. I think I know somebody that's happy. Hang on, young lady threw some money into Happy Bucks already. I'm gonna let her go at it.
Well, just thankful to be here. See everybody. Bless you guys.
She is one happy lady. Gentleman right here is happy.
Oh, I'm happy.
I know it's going to be 100 degrees the next few days. The day's really nice, so enjoy it. But I'm going to Utah tomorrow.
It gets hot in Utah too.
Where are you? There we go.
Park City.
I'm sure you're going to introduce him shortly, but I am so happy to see Byron Chitwood back with us. Past president, he served at district level, and I mean, it's just great to see him back.
All right, we got another happy one right here.
Well, actually, I've got 2 announcements and $1, and I had to borrow that. First announcement: look at your program under August and see on the setup and cleanup crew. Of all those names on that list, there's only 3 of us here: Scott Kernard, Debbie Sickles, and myself. So we got to clean the place up. So help us out by putting stuff in the trash can.
Kendall will help.
Kendall's gonna help. Also, my second announcement is, you remember what I did last year on my birthday?
Yeah.
I skydived. I'm doing it again this Friday at 3 o'clock out of Cattle Mills Airport. And I've got a very good friend of mine that's going to be jumping with me. Actually, we're going to be in the same plane. We've made arrangements. This guy is a rodeo superstar named Heath Herndon. He's a customer and a friend of mine. He's 4-time reining horse world champion, rides bulls, rides bucking horses. And I said, Heath, you want to jump with me? I said, I know anybody to ride a bull will jump out of an airplane. He said, absolutely. Where are we going to go? Then he said, I think anybody that would jump out of an airplane would ride a bull. And I said, no, you are wrong. I will watch. But Heath and I are going to be jumping Friday afternoon, and anyone else that wants to come out, John's going to come out and watch us, even though he is a parachutist himself. So just wanted to let y'all know, and let's come on out and let's have a big time. Watch me go splat.
3 o'clock. Here that's got a happy butt.
3 o'clock.
Well, I don't know if I can get through this or not. It's an emotional time. You know, I dropped out of Rotary about a year ago to take care of my wife, who was in advanced stages of Parkinson's, and she passed away on July the 6th. And really sad part of it was that she broke her other hip on about May the 1st and was operated on. And when she broke her hip at home, that was the last time I ever got to be with her in person, just due to the COVID, the China virus. And she was my longtime wife and companion and friend of 68 years of marriage, and 2 years before that as sweethearts. So I miss her terribly. But I woke up one night and I said, what am I going to do with my life? And the first thing that came to me was to get back in with it and go to Rotary and be among your friends and of many, many years. And I appreciate this opportunity to get to come back, and I'm signing up to join the thing again. And thank you so much for all the thoughts and cards you sent me. That's about it.
68 years, man. That's pretty good. Very good. All right, we got some more happy people around here. I saw one. There you are. I'll come around. Here we go. And there you are.
I'm happy to announce that our parking lot bingo at the senior center is going so great that I need more volunteers. So if you're looking for something to do on Tuesday or Thursday mornings from about 8:30 to 10:30, please come join us and I will put you to work. Mr. Chitwood, we would love to have you. If anybody wants any more information, holler at me after this is over. Yes, ma'am.
How old do you have to be to participate?
55 and over. 55 and over can participate, and you can also receive a free lunch.
You almost got the whole room.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Wait a minute
Tuesdays
now.
and Thursdays. The bingo actually starts at 9. And let me tell you, some of these sponsors that have done the bingo baskets, there's some good ones. I kind of wanted to take a few home with me.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, we got another happy couple.
I'm just happy to be here. Just happy to be here.
He is happy to be here. Thank you. We're glad you're here, sir. Oh, here's Miss Roxanne.
I'm happy because David always does a great job with the singing and today's song is beautiful. But I also want to say thank you to David and Sheila because every time I need help for anything, like spur of the moment, they're always there for me.
Very cool. Okay. All right. Anybody else happy? All right. Thank you very much.
How about
Here we go.
Deck of Destiny? Ready?
Deck of Destiny. Oh my goodness. Are we excited or what? All right. Got the Deck of Destiny. First, I got to get these cards out of here. All right. Now, we're going to have our guest, one of our guests. Byron, can you pull a ticket out of there?
I thought that was you.
See if anybody. And read the numbers off. Wait a minute. Ooh, don't read them off yet. Don't read them off yet. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. He does read them off. Okay. Okay. Read them slow, and cause them some pain on that very last number.
How are you taking that CBD oil?
I need some.
First three numbers are 191 and 4. Everybody has 4 stand up.
There you go. We got 4.
Okay. 9.
What?
19.
Oh, shoot.
6.
4196.
That's a setup. Loser.
You, John? No. Did you say 4196?
He did say 4196. Okay.
I call foul.
Okay. Yeah.
I call foul.
All right. She gets to draw a card.
Go for it.
All right. There you go. You sure? You sure? Oh, she's being selected. There we go. Get one. All right. Turn that over. 10 of hearts. Oh my goodness. Let's show what we do with the 10 of hearts. All right.
That was a good try. Good job. Good job.
How many cards left?
A bunch. It's almost a full deck.
3.
All right. Well, at this time, I'm going to ask Miss Kami to come up and introduce her guest and ask her guest, Miss Janie, to join her.
Thank you. This is our final scholarship recipient that was able to join us today. We've recognized 3 others, so we're glad that Janie Chastain could be with us today. Janie's a recent graduate of Greenville ISD. She may be a familiar face to some of you because she was one of our Rotary Students of the Month that we honored earlier this year. So, sorry?
Sandra G.
She has held a summer job this summer, being the nanny of 4 adorable children, so that prevented her from being able to be here earlier in the month with us. During her high school career, Janie has been an outstanding student, as we already know from her Student of the Month recognition, including being captain of the color guard team. Her favorite activity was one-act play, where she discovered her passion for performance, and she was,
Sandy?
Yep, Sandy agrees. So Janie will be attending Harding University in Arkansas this next year, where she will pursue a degree in theater education. So congratulations, Janie. Thank you for being with us today.
And if y'all didn't go see Grease, you missed out. Those kids are amazingly talented. I was giving her a hard time a while ago because the last time I seen her, our speaker last week, I was at his house at a graduation party. So his daughter was also in the play. All right, at this time, before our speakers get up here, I have a couple of 3-minute speeches I'm going to let Miss Katie introduce as we go along.
Okay.
I was that way.
The first one I'm going to have, actually, I am going to tell you that I feel a little bit bad because I was her mentor for like, a year, and I was a little busy with the presidency, so I forgot until a couple weeks ago. So first I'm going to ask that Pam Vickers come up and do your 3-minute speech first. And by the way, this is the last item on her list to get blue badge, so guess what we'll be doing next week? Woohoo! Do you want to stand here or up there? Stand up there so everybody can see.
Why does everybody need to see me?
Because you're important right now.
Okay, so as y'all know, my name's Pamela Vickers. First thing I'll tell you about myself is I am not an eloquent speaker, so this is going to be a butcher job at best. I have 3 children. One is 31, one is 29, and one is 23. I have a granddaughter who is 8, who I lovingly got to finally spend some time with this last weekend, thank goodness, and my grandson who is 2. My background is very different than what I do now. I actually went to nursing school and was a paramedic for several years for Kaufman County and Collin County, and some in Dallas County, and then I switched at some point into the legal field doing legal documents for medical cases. That kind of transitioned me back, and eventually I went into legal accounting, and that's what I do now is accounting, mostly. I was a CFO and controller for an engineering company for several years, and also for an education group when I relocated back to Dallas back in 2008. I worked for the Chamber of Greenville for a year and a half, and as of today have worked for Bill Miller with Edward Jones Investments for 5 years. So I volunteered a great deal throughout my life. As my children were younger, I did a lot of volunteering in Lubbock where I lived. I was on the board of directors for the Plains Capital Bank there. I was involved with the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, and also with the Boys and Girls Club there. My volunteer work extended here through many of the organizations. With the Greenville Chamber, I was on the board for the Tawakoni Chamber for a while, and continue to offer my service to any volunteer activity that pretty much calls me, because as y'all know, I don't know how to say no. I joined the Rotary because I felt like it was a great opportunity for me to offer my service abilities to a service that I really felt was doing something, especially in our community and throughout the other communities. And I also knew a lot of y'all and had a great deal of respect for y'all, and I felt like that y'all would be great leaders to me and helping me to move forward in providing the service of volunteerism and helping with that. And because Bill, my boss, was also unable to fulfill his duties because of his schedule being so busy, it seemed like a natural transition for me to take over that role. I'm very happy to be here with you guys. I'm really happy to see that everybody's doing well through this lovely pandemic that we're going through. I, for one, have suffered greatly in being at home all the time and not being able to be out, be around people and doing volunteer activities and stuff. And I look forward to the day that we can all get back to doing our normal things and being able to be out there and without fear and helping people. So thank you.
That was extremely eloquent. I don't know what you're talking about. And also, she forgot to mention that one of the most prestigious groups that she is a part of is the Wine Your Way Social Club. So, which is also what Gloria and I are in on Wednesday evenings. So,
A lot of good work, actually.
yes, and we do a lot.
We contribute to a lot of the local organizations.
Yes, we do. We sure do. And that's actually how I was originally introduced, is going and asking for a donation for Bras for the Cause, and Wine Your Way Social Club was very generous that year, and we donate. I'm now a part of the club, and we donate to all kinds of different nonprofit. So it is a really great club. But, you know, wine is involved. So anyway, and in complete contradiction to what I just said about me kind of dropping the ball with Pam, I did the speed version with Trina Cold Iron, and at this point, I think, other than one table next week, that you're done, correct?
No,
so looks,
new member orientation.
Oh, a new member orientation. Yes. So other than that, she's going to be getting her blue badge very, very quickly as well. So Trina, come on up.
Oh, when I look out, there's so many familiar faces, so I feel like this is so silly. But anyway, we're going to go for it. As you know, my name is Trina Coldiron, and I'm the community liaison for the Senior Center Resources and Public Transit. I'm the mother of 2 diva daughters. Don't know where they get that from. And a son-in-law who is the best husband and father. JC and Clayton have blessed me with 3 amazing grandboys. Stockton, who is 6. Stetson, who's 3 1/2, and our soon-to-be Staten, who will be here any day. We are on baby watch right now. They're going at 3 today, so y'all say a little prayer. My youngest daughter, Casey, is still at home with me. Casey has Down syndrome. She's 26. She loves WWE wrestling. She loves Tejano's Mexican food on Friday night. And she loves all things pink and sparkly. Again, don't know where she gets that from. I'm also a caregiver to my soon-to-be 86-year-old grandmother. And she is by far the wisest and smartest woman I've ever known. I also have 2 amazing nieces, Marley, who is 16, and she attends Greenville High School. And my oldest niece, Madison, just graduated from Chisholm High School, valedictorian, and she received a full 4-year scholarship to Yale University. And she'll be going there. She's leaving on the 24th, and she'll be quarantined for 2 weeks. And we don't know what all that's going to entail. So we're all a little nervous, so say a little prayer for her.
She got a lot of offers, didn't she?
She got, yes, she got a lot of offers, but Yale was the most pleasing to her. So that's where she's going, and we're super proud. And she will be a first-generation college graduate in my family, so we're super, super proud. I was born and raised in Wolf City, Texas, where I was a fourth-generation graduate of Wolf City High School. Go Big Blue. I was blessed with amazing educators such as Deborah Farker, Dee Hensley, Ola Owens, Melvern Osment, Donna Brown, and Doug Thomas, just to name a few. I believe that my love for civic and community involvement was planted and cultivated by these educators. Acts 20:35 says, "In all things I have shown you that by working hard is the way we must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus. How he himself said, 'It is more blessed to give than to receive.'" From a young age, I was taught that by my grandparents. My papa was always willing to lend a helping hand to anyone in our community, and my granny volunteered in many facets of our church family. As a young adult and single mom of 2, I couldn't give monetarily and was often the recipient of others giving to me. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. I do that all the time.
You'll also find out that I'm a crybaby really, really bad. My best friend calls me a ball bag. But anyway, okay. I was the recipient of others giving to me and my girls. But I could give my time. So that's what I did. I'm a founding member of the Wolf City Youth Sports Association, where I served as a board member and a coach for 8 years. This organization now services more than 200 youth annually in Wolf City. As my daughters enter junior high and high school, I moved my civic focus to the Wolf City Athletic Booster Club, where I served as a member for 6 years. Lots of late night concession stands, lots of blue and white paint, and lots of those dreaded fundraisers. Upon Casey's graduation in 2014, I took a small break and entered a new career path in senior health care. I knew immediately that this was This was an area of our community where I was meant to be. Lost my place. Hang on. Over the past 5.5 years, I have made it my personal mission to ensure that every senior citizen I come in contact with receives the same care that I would want my own granny to receive. During this time, I've also continued to give civically. I've been a member of Altrusa and a member of Leadership Hunt County Class of 2017. I currently serve as a chamber ambassador and a member of the Commerce Lions Club. Most recently, I have joined the Transportation Committee for the Council of Government Affairs for Hunt County. I'm excited to be a part of Greenville Rotary. I'm excited to learn more about our local chapter and the wonderful things that Rotary does for our community. My hope is to make you, my fellow Rotarians, my family, and my friends proud of my civic contributions to our community. Thank you.
Wonderful job. Wonderful job. Two fine examples of new Rotarians who we have here. Great, great people.
Aren't you glad you finally accepted women into the club? It only took 100 years.
It was his idea, though.
Now you're trying to get me in trouble. All right, so our guest speakers today, members of our Homeland Security for Hunt County. I told Richard a while ago, I said, I see the truck driving around, always wondered what you really did. Now they're fixing to let us know. So I give you members of our Homeland Security. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and they can talk together.
All right, thank you very much. And Larry was gracious enough, everybody should have access to one of these cards.
You can get up here and talk. Okay, call me.
But this is what I'm going to talk with y'all about today. Just as Larry said, y'all see us. Some of you I've known personally for a long time. Debbie, she kind of knows what. She's been to my house. She kind of knows how the phone rings all night. Things like that. But let's talk about how we got started and where we came from. In 2007, January 1st, John Horn took over as Hunt County Judge. I came on as his emergency management coordinator and fire marshal. John had an overview that instead of having all these separate departments, he wanted to bring everything under one umbrella. So in 2010, he'd established the Hunt County Department of Homeland Security. And that came about because of certain federal monies that we were receiving. Approximately 40 to 50% of my salary is paid by Homeland Security and the Assistant Director, David Alexander. The same goes for there. We'll get to David Jones in a minute. But we transitioned into our new name, and part of that was forced on us because of the fact that all the federally built dams that had been built during the Eisenhower administration, and I think that there's some people in this room that at least won't have to say, what was that? The Eisenhower administration during the 50s. And we had 26 of those dams in Hunt County. Over the many years after the federal government furnished the money to build these dams on private facilities and private lands, the one thing they didn't do, well, they didn't furnish any maintenance costs. So as these properties changed generations and were sold many times, nothing was ever done about these dams. And then in Alabama and Georgia, they had several failures of these dams, and there were several people killed. So then the federal government said, you have to have, and reached out to all of us, because one of my favorite sayings is, there is no free lunch. We accept the federal money from Homeland Security to pay part of my salary, part of David Alexander's, so you will do this. So we became responsible for those 26 emergency action plans on all 26 dams that were in Hunt County. And at that time, and this is a little side note, and I'm watching the clock, that actually you can go online and find out anything you want to know about every pipeline in Hunt County. And that's a little bit scary. That's public information. But on high hazard dams, that is not public information. You have to be in charge of Homeland Security for your region or your area before that information will be released to you. So that's a little side note that one of the other things that we had to do. So emergency management, to tell you about that, the first thing on the list, we have an emergency management plan, and I'm very proud to say, and David Jones does 90% of the work on that. And we don't have a basic plan in Hunt County. We don't have an intermediate plan in Hunt County. We have an advanced. There are 32 counties in the state of Texas that have the last count, I should say, that have an advanced plan, and we have an advanced plan in Hunt County. During the West disaster, we were very lucky because the news agencies sent public information requests out to every emergency management department in the state of Texas, every one of them. And they were asking all these questions, and they were doing all these things. And one of the terms that we'll use is LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Committee, which every county should have one. Well, what came out of that was, and it was good for all of our department, that all of us felt like we had a genuine interest in. The news agency that did this big undercover story trying to find out where counties in Texas were, when they finished it, they had a map of the state of Texas, and they had people in red that weren't doing anything, and kind of like one county judge after the commissioners meeting one day, the news agency went up and they stuck the microphone in his face, and the guys, that's always a dangerous, I've had that happen to me. It's always very dangerous. So when you tried to stick that microphone in my face, it almost scared me. But, and the reporter said to the county judge, and I will say this, not in Hunt County, can you tell me about your LEPC in this county? And the county judge looked at him, microphone, and he said, I don't guess I know what a LEPC is. Well, the reporter then said, well, I've checked in Austin, and you're the head of that committee. So that's why and different things over the years as far as disasters have totally changed the focus of emergency management. 911, the Katrina hurricane, and all these different things have brought this up, where actually the federal government decided after Katrina that they could not manage local disasters. In other words, the different disasters, they'd say, okay, we're sending this team out of Washington, D.C., and we're going to manage this disaster, whether it be New Orleans or wherever it was. Well, they found out that didn't work. One of my perfect examples is you're sitting next to a guy from Washington, D.C., and you've got a building that's collapsed, and you want to look for survivors, and somebody says, we need a crane. The guy from Washington, D.C. says, well, I don't know anybody in the crane business in Texas. Well, that's where we, as the liaisons, and sure, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my cell phone, I'm going to call Lucky Crane in Commerce, Texas, a Hunt County business. We're going to get a crane. So that's where we interact with the federal government on a unified command on any disasters. I'll skip over that. Next, the environmental enforcement. Again, in 2010, that's when Judge Horn decided to bring all these different little pieces of the pie under Homeland Security. We actually, and we want you to know this, if you're out riding around on a Sunday afternoon and you see some illegal dumping on this nice, beautiful county road, we want you to call or email that number. And we want to know about it, because the environmental investigators will go out there and, so to speak, dig through the trash and see if they can find any evidence at all as to who dumped that. Talk to the neighbors. Do everything we can, because this costs taxpayers money. So this investigator writes it up, checks it out, see if there can be any prosecution, if he can find out who did it. Then he writes that up on a cleanup order. And every Friday, we have a cleanup group that goes out and cleans all this trash up on the side of our county roads. We don't do it on private property, it has to be on county property. And we don't do it on the state highways. We work on county roads and county property. So you've got a number and you've got an email, and as always, if you think your neighbor did it, everything is always kept anonymous. Environmental enforcement, next we'll move on to the fire marshal's office, which works hand in hand. The fire marshal's office in Hunt County, we investigate all possible arsons everywhere in the county except for the city of Greenville and except for the city of Commerce. They both have their own arson investigators. But anywhere else in the county, we do that. And the fire marshal's office also works with all hazardous material. And we do have more than we would like to admit to, a lot of hazardous material that dumps in Hunt County. One of the reasons people pick Hunt County, we're too close to the Metroplex, and maybe this is the first county where they can find dirt roads, and they find them. So that's what the fire marshal's office does. He investigates all possible arsons. We work and assist the volunteer fire departments. There are 13 fire departments in Hunt County, 2 paid, Greenville and Commerce, and 11 volunteer. We'll move to the city's readiness initiative, which is David Jones he's over the city's readiness initiative. And I know if I just say that, it's hard. What does the city's readiness initiative do? It's also called the bioterrorism department. David's funding comes CDC down through the Texas Department of State Health Services. David has a prior medical background prior to coming to work for the Hunt County Homeland Security, and he's actually been here about 13 years now, actually even before we started Homeland Security. But David brings a wealth of knowledge to that. When this program first started out with the federal government, there was a lot of terrorism fears, as we still have. So if someone wanted to introduce botulism, anthrax, or anything like that into a community, what were the local people going to do? Again, the federal government can't take care of everything. So David Jones's department, if we have to get that medication out to the people, he's the one that's going to set up the pod sites, and he's the one that's going to get the mass inoculations of the medicine and everything done. And by the way, as a group, we may be calling on the Rotary Club, because there's nothing we like better when you're trying to get volunteers to help on something like this than having a group that's already used to working together. They know each other, and y'all would be excellent on that. Let's hope we never have to put in that call for y'all to help, but y'all would be a good group. David Jones, after the botulism, the anthrax, and all those scares about the next thing that happened, and I never can remember which came first, the swine flu or the bird flu. You remember, David?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. There's been too many hurricanes, but that came across, so the federal government and everything, again, we're taking their money. So, well, we need y'all also to be involved in mass inoculations and be anything over as far as communicable diseases, such as the bird flu and the swine flu. And any pandemics, that's correct. So that moved along. But the cities, and so David Jones's email and his phone number is here, and he would be the person that would be calling the Rotary Club if we had to do mass inoculations or anything like that. So keep this his number. Now we'll flip to the back of the card, which used to just, and it said resources, where all y'all can call. Well, the first thing under resources is the Hunt County Health Department. Well, I have to tell you a really sad story about that. The director of the health department retired. It was official January the 1st. So the Human Resources and the Commissioners Court was taking in applications to be the new director of the health department. Well, they say they didn't find the person with the qualifications that they wanted, and so they asked me, they said, we're going to make you, because I have a degree and I have 30 hours of applied science and graduate work, so we're just going to make you the acting director of the health department. It won't be much going on. In other words, you're just have to supervise the employees, Don't worry about it, Richard. I mean, it's just, you can do it with a breeze. Well, I think everyone in this room knows what happened very shortly after January 1st. It was a little thing called COVID-19. And as I said, I've got to cut this short, but with the COVID-19, I'm director of the health department. And in April, true story, the commissioners court met and they made me the permanent head of the health department and didn't ask me if I wanted the job. That is a true story. But our commissioners court has done some really great things in trying to be very transparent and trying to take care of our citizens. Just so y'all know, we have a COVID task force that is located in our building that's doing the contact tracing. We're trying to do everything we can, get the information out to the public. We're working hand in hand with the hospital and our advisory board, the COVID Task Force Advisory Board, which was set up by the Commissioners Court and the County Judge Bobby Stovall, and John Heatherly, and I'm sure many of you know him, the Assistant Administrator of the hospital, is the chairman of that, and we meet on a weekly basis and talk, and we formulate opinions and advice to bring back to the Commissioners Court to pass. Let me see, members, Debbie Clack's a member, the retired infectious disease nurse, excellent person. Dr. Sandin, who's, I noticed, I love y'all's placemat, by the way, because first thing we noticed, we're taking that back with us. There's a lot of good phone numbers and emails. So, like I said, we're not worried that you're going to call us. We want you to, but now we've got your numbers. Dr. Sandin is on that. Why I'm going so blank today. Debbie Clack, Dr. Sandin, of course, John Heatherly, and Bobby Stovall. Gina Rushing is our local health authority, and myself. That's and good night. I can't remember Sherry's name, and Sherry is
Emily Sunday.
No, that's Emily. She's not a member. She comes and speaks to us. We work with her. But, and I noticed on this list, Wally Jeffers' name is on this list. And I want to mention this. Wally Jeffers can tell you a lot about what we're doing because the Commissioners Court and the County Judge chose Wally Jeffers as the, I guess you'd say, the arm for us to funnel any monies into, that when someone has COVID and we get the calls to our office, hey, we haven't been able to pay our bills, we haven't been able to do these things, and then we work hand in hand with Wally. Good. Hand in hand with Wally, and he's doing an excellent job. So we have a lot of people that's already involved. I saw Rich Carter's name on here. I mean, I can't say enough about our hospital. Our hospital stepped up to the plate. They set up their own laboratory, Lab Solutions, which is next door to the hospital behind the Bolero. Bonnie Stewart, many of y'all may know her, is operating that, where we have our own place to do the testing for the coronavirus here in Hunt County. I know there's a lot of questions that y'all may have, and please, like I said, you got our emails, you got our phone numbers, but at this time, we are, I think a good way to say it, I'm not going to say we're busy, I'm going to say we're overwhelmed. Good. Because when these numbers go up, I think y'all saw it yesterday, in other words, we're talking about Dallas County. Well, how do you really keep up with contact tracing? The Commissioners Court hired a company out, actually it's a Dallas company, but the owner of it lives in Hunt County, and I like trying to keep things local. And so she brought her staff in, and there are contact tracers, which, you know, on days they have a hard time keeping up. It is sometime if y'all want, after the COVID-19 crisis is over, I'd love to come back and talk to y'all, and I wish that would be in the next 2 or 3 months.
I hope so.
But I'm afraid, in other words, that I may be almost retired by the time you call me to come back and speak on the COVID crisis. David Jones, is there anything you'd like to say that I've left out?
Left out the floodplain.
Oh, Now, David Jones is also in charge of the floodplain. When we took over the health department, which the health department has the environmental side, which is all sewage and septic tanks in Hunt County, even in the cities. And then our restaurant inspection, which we do all the restaurant inspections everywhere except the city of Greenville. And we have all the floodplain management. And with the growth we're having in Hunt County, the septic tanks and the floodplain management is a big deal. David Jones has put a lot of time that he didn't have into the floodplain management, I know, and thank you for that, David. All right, I'm going to open the floor to questions. Would anyone like to ask me a question? And it looks like it's 8 minutes to 1. And Larry said, you got to be out of here by 1 because some of the people have dart guns. Is that right?
What is floodplain management?
What is floodplain management?
I know what floodplain is.
Okay. David?
Careful how you answer that, because it's a real estate agent.
Okay.
And I'm with him. We're going to want to know.
Okay. Floodplain management is a requirement from the federal level down. FEMA is the one first in charge of it. They create something called a flood insurance rate map. And there are ways to do developments in a floodplain. It's kind of limited, but you can't deny people use of the property. It's just that some things, the impossible takes a little longer and costs a whole lot more money. We have an application when somebody wants to do a development in a floodplain. They have to fill out the application. Frequently, the services of a professional engineer are involved because that person has to certify that they won't raise the 100-year floodplain levels. They won't impact other people by flooding their properties. There's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, you don't want to have somebody put a septic tank in a floodplain area. And I don't care what description it is, whether it's low-pressure drip or you name it. Aerobic, no. Also, when they build houses in there, you could build a house, but you have to raise it up to above the floodplain level, and then you have a freeboard area that is frequently 2 feet above that, so that if it goes above the expected flood level, you still won't get as much damage in the house. This will affect flood insurance rates for the people and what they're paying for their flood insurance. So one of the things I've learned early on is I got to go out and look at the property. I'm not going to do it over the phone. I've almost got burned on one because a firm out of Dallas, the engineering firm had never set foot on the property either, sent me an email and they said, oh, here's all the pictures, here's the Google Maps, and here's all this, and it looked like, and it sounded reasonable, but there was something in the back of my head saying, go take a look, go take a look. Whew, glad we didn't approve that one. It's a mess. And it's going to be a big mess because somebody had already started development, and the charge they're going to have is for unauthorized development in a floodplain. So, and they're negatively impacting their neighbors who weren't in the floodplain, but now they're getting flooded because of the way they've grown. So, it's a complex thing that it's a steep learning curve, and I've got a lot of ignorance that has to be removed. So, that's where we're at with floodplain.
Are the floodplain current designated floodplains, are they ever reviewed by surveyors?
Here's
those kind of
what happens with that.
established?
Okay. FEMA is the one in charge of all those.
Yeah.
And our Hunt County Resolution 16,148, which was recently passed, part of the wording in it is that we have adopted, and for any arbitration, all FEMA maps are considered accurate and foundational map. That's what we go by as FEMA. So FEMA is the one that does that. Now, let's say that somebody wants to come in and wants to do some development, and it's an area that they, what's the word I'm thinking of real quick? Base flood elevation has not been performed. FEMA has done a lot of base flood elevations, and that's where they go in, they calculate, and they know exactly what the depth is here. Instead of just being marked out for the area, they know exactly what the slope, the depth, it's all surveyed. If it hasn't been done, we can require that you do a base flood elevation before you submit any paperwork on how you do this. So you would pay your professional engineering firm or a surveying team to come in and do a base flood elevation and establish what that is supposed to be for that area. Then they're going to apply for things like a letter of map qualification, letter of map amendments, letter of map revision, and there's a series that you go through to get permission to build and make FEMA happy. And then if you get a letter of map amendment, at the end of it, FEMA will redraw the map and draw out that portion that you built into it.
explain. Do you have a question, Debbie?
Yes, I mean, I as insurance and other people in here that sell houses, we are out in the county and in the country a lot. What about the people whose septic systems don't work properly and dig ditches out to a pool and stuff like that?
Okay. On your card, right on the back, Hunt County Health Department, 408-4140. We come out and investigate. The staff does. And like I said, we have a young lady that graduated from Texas A&M Commerce, and she's got her designated representative. Thank you, I went blank. Certification.
She's real sharp, and she's passionate about the work she does, and she's good.
Well, how do they get by with it? Like years?
Well, you've got one person now, where we used to have two. We've got a slot that we have to possibly try and find something to fill that role. But when you've got
You ever
all
Google Earth and all that property?
Do we want to?
Google Earth won't show us what's going on the ground today, because that
It won't show you the ground?
it'll show you the ground, but it won't show me the septic system necessarily, and it won't show me what it's doing today, because that map picture might be a year old, it might be 3 years old.
And I want to comment on that, just like the floodplain. We're not going to take responsibility for what happened 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. There's a lot of structures built in the floodplain. And the only thing we can do now is that as they are destroyed or dilapidate or burned, we tell the owner, can't put anything back.
There's a lot of conventional septic systems within that 2,000-foot take line around Lake Tawakoni too.
Well, now that also becomes part of the Sabine River Authority. And if
I know,
SRA
I
is
know.
in, we don't have a say.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I've seen it. I've seen
That
septic
2,000
system malfunction.
That 2,000 feet from the water,
Right.
Hunt County doesn't get to regulate that. The SRA does. Now, I don't know how that started many years ago, but
It's 2,000 feet out
Yeah.
from the take line.
right. And then every septic tank in there is SRA, not
Okay.
Hunt County. Not Hunt County. Yes, ma'am.
This is totally off what you've just been on, and we probably don't have time. But I was looking at both the Hunt County and the city critical readiness plans yesterday, actually. And I know they were put together and was put back in 2010, 2011. Are there any? Have
Ours
they
is
been
continuing.
updated
Ours
since
is
then?
ongoing every year.
Okay,
What it
because
is
the ones that's out
Okay.
there is only showing like 2010, not showing
Okay,
any updates on it.
The Hunt County plan is updated every year on various aspects of it. We have a 4-year rotation essentially. There's 26 portions to it of the annexes and the basic plan. So they are constantly updated, but instead of doing it all in 1 year as one big slug, we'll do 6 to 7 at a time.
Maybe when people are looking it up, it probably needs to be made clear. Also within the critical readiness is now, because things have moved forward with things like cyber security and stuff, is that being included?
In some cases it is, and it all depends. The cybersecurity isn't necessarily addressed in a basic plan for the county itself, because the only place where you would find that is in a continuity of operations plan.
Yeah.
You wouldn't find that in any other portion of it. And we do require other entities to have their own continuity of operation plan. But as far as the counties goes, that's something that we've already worked on, particularly with the cyber stuff. That's going to remain in the purview of our IT department. And we talk with them, and they've got things squared away. They're in good shape already.
Yeah, I left him a message as well.
I'll tell you, you just brought up something real good on the site. Since we're not over the website, we want to check and make sure that the latest annexes and plans are posted on the Hunt County website. I will be honest with you, that's something I hadn't even thought about since COVID started. In other words, is the latest information on our plan on the county website. We'll check on that.
And I've got 6 annexes on my desk right now that are going to be updated in the next 4 or 5 months too.
Are the cases increasing with COVID in that county right now? Are you seeing?
Well, here's the way I'm going to explain that. On June the 3rd, we had 100 total cases. Not active, I'm talking about reported cases. June the 3rd. On August 3rd, that's approximately 60 days, we had 1,152.
We saw a huge slug after July 4th that weekend, and it's been kind of slowing down since then. But that was just a huge whopper. But you also have some of the people who went off-site for testing, because our Lab Solutions is closed Saturday and Sunday and then on 4th of July. But people can go to Rockwall, they can go to Paris, go other places. And the way it works is if you're a Hunt County resident and you're in Houston, Texas, but your driver's license says Hunt County, we'll get notified of it, even though you might be hospitalized down there. One of the questions I got today on the phone was the difference between the DSHS records showing nearly 18 deaths by COVID, and we've got 8 that we've confirmed in county. The reason for that disparity is the state has access to the death certificates that we don't see. So if you have somebody who was treated in Frankfort, Kentucky, but was from Hunt County, it's going to show things like that.
Example, the gentleman who'd been in the nursing home in Rockwall for 7 years, but his house was still owned in Hunt County. He passed away. We found out he was counted as a Hunt County death. Also, the guy that was in the penitentiary. It is 3 minutes after. We got to go. I want to thank y'all for taking time to listen to us, and I mean this. You've got our numbers. You've got a question. We'll try to get back with you as soon as we can. Thank y'all very much.
Does everybody have one of these cards? All right. Email works best. Thank y'all so much. This ends our day. If I can find one.
This video has been brought to you by GEUS 34. GEUS is your community-owned provider for electric, internet, cable TV, and true local programming.